reaching the Masters and winning, it was like, okay, this is what I dreamed all my life. It's like, maybe I can retire even. But I had the dream about being number one. To feel great, it's almost a miracle. The ball, the string, the conditions, no wind, the opponent. It's almost impossible to find that. So that shows that if you are consistent through your life and through your tennis, you're gonna win way more.
Welcome to Tennis Insider Club. I am Borja Duran, and together with my partner, Caroline Garcia, here is where tennis stories and life conversations intersect. Join us as we uncover the untold personal journeys of the icons of the court. From laughter to life lessons, it's all here.
Thank you so much, Alex, for being with us today.
Yes.
First question, how did you start with tennis?
Well, first, thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure. I'm so excited because I want to share with you whatever you want to ask me. I started with tennis when I was 7 years old. First, I was combining, like extra-escolar, a couple of days a week. I was doing tennis, and I was also doing judo. Okay. But I was very little when it's not I'm massive now, but I was very little when I was young, and I had a guy that he was always like fighting with me, and he was way bigger than me, and I was always, in judo, when you wanna have like the defense, or you say like, oh, leave me alone, you need to hit like the tatami. So I was the whole day like, leave me alone, So one day I spoke with my parents. I said, can I just do tennis? Because I want to leave the opponent far away. I don't want anyone to touch me and to hit me. So from then on, I just played tennis. And when I was 10, I was already practicing 4 hours a day.
Wow, that's
Yes.
like...
Yes, it was a big change. And because I really wanted.
After school?
No, the thing it was that my parents, they had a school in Barcelona.
Okay.
And so I went tennis from 9 to 12 and 12 to 1 physical condition.
Okay.
And then I was doing from 3 to 7, I was doing tennis lessons like in the school to come back and do whatever they did in the other 8 hours that normally the regular kids does.
Nice.
So it was very intense, but it was my dream. So it was not my parents' dream, it was mine. It was because I wanted, and no one forced me, So that was my starting with tennis, yes.
And you got inspired from like watching tennis on TV, or you had like an idol, or?
It was more because my parents liked it very much as an amateurs.
Yeah.
And I have 2 brothers, and they are a little bit older than me, so I was playing with them. And I had this sort of motivation right away. And I was watching TV all the time. I was liking tennis. And at the beginning I had my idol, it was like Ivan Lendl. Just watching him, I liked the way he was playing, with the big wristbands and, very focused, serious. Then I was changing to Stefan Edberg, which I liked it very much, the way he was acting, behaving, playing, serve and volley. It was not my style, but I liked very much. And well, when I was 10, I was already winning the Spanish national. And I was doing very consistency all my life, like 12, 14, 16, 18, and then overall,
Yeah.
And when I was 16, I won the Orange Ball, which it was like very like turning point to say like, okay, it's not that I'm playing well in Spain, I'm also playing well around the world. And that was pretty much the moment I felt like, okay, this is going to be serious.
I can make it into a professional career.
Yes,
Nice.
yes, it was that moment, yeah.
Was it easy, that transition from playing for fun into, this is going to be a real thing?
The problem, I have to admit, I never felt that I was playing for fun. I was
Okay.
pretty much playing like to be professional already since I was very little.
Nice.
So it's a kind of, you could be a bit obsessed, but I was, I think, managing very well because it was not something that I was, I don't know, someone pushed me. It was more like, no, it was more like,
your dream.
I really want to play. I want to become good. I had a dream to become like number 1 in the world, already. And it was like, okay, so let him enjoy and dream about it. So, but at 16, it was more the moment that we said, okay, I'm studying now, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So I kept on studying a little bit, but we left it a little bit aside because from then on I was traveling way more to futures and little challenges like this.
Nice. And how were these first years on tour?
Well, the transition is tougher than when you are juniors, of course. because all of a sudden you feel like you are there in the middle of the jungle. Everybody plays very well. Everybody is big and powerful, you know. And I was not too big. I was not too powerful. I felt like I really need to use my tactics a lot. And it was difficult for the Spanish players to play more than on clay. It was like pretty much the way we were born, and we raised like our life playing on clay, sliding on clay, searching for heights, kick out wide, you know, and all these things. And all of a sudden you play on hard courts and you need to return in, and they chip and charge, and you are like, what is the rallies here? You know, there are no rallies anymore. So you need to adapt a little bit, and it took me a little while.
Okay.
More that because I was quite used to win a lot when I was little, and then, okay, in juniors I was already top 100, so it was good achievement. I remember going to Roland Garros, and I qualified as a junior. I qualified for main draw.
Yeah.
That's big.
So it was already big, but I was 80 in the world. But that transition to become a bit better, it took some years, yes.
Was it easy, like all these years when you like have to really like develop the effort and start losing quite often? Does it get you like in the mind, like maybe I'm not as good, or you are like?
Yeah, it happens. Yes, I mean, you know for sure how much it happens, and how much do we go with our minds like from one side to another. And it is not simple to accept that all of a sudden you're not going to win as much as you were used to. And you need to keep on fighting and searching for different goals. For me, it was very important to have a purpose. You know, I was never playing like, okay, I'm gonna play. No, if I go to a tournament and I don't know why I'm going, I was not good enough, because I really wanted to be committed with me and with my team and with everything I wanted to achieve.
Nice. And this purpose was always like results oriented, like I want to reach quarterfinals, or more like, I don't know, holistic, I want to have fun, I want to give my best, or?
No, I mean, I base it a little bit on rankings and on results, of course, but there was a period where I felt that it was more important to improve and to say, okay, like the transition from clay to hard courts. I remember one year that my coaches, they took me and they said, okay, summertime, we're not going to go to classical European, you know, tournaments. You're going to go to US and you're gonna play in Indianapolis or Cincinnati or Washington or whatever, finishing at the US Open. But I was maybe 19 years old, and I was feeling like, yeah, but I'm gonna win more points and more matches if I stay playing in maybe UMAC or you know, Kitzbühel, all these tournaments. And he said, yeah, but those tournaments you can play them forever. But if you don't improve your game, your return, your serve, you know, the way you need to move, it's very difficult that you will become the good you want to be. And yeah, I remember like I was like in Indianapolis losing first round, and then I spent the whole week there practicing with everyone. I was there like, so,
can I play?
Yeah, who wants to warm up at 10? And I was signing, you know, when you see +1, you was there. And I was practicing maybe 6 hours every day.
It's a mindset at the end.
Yeah, but it was always because I wanted. But of course it wasn't easy, because you feel frustrated. You feel like, well, I'm not so sure if I'm going to be good enough to play against these guys. Especially, I remember once practicing with Boris Becker on hard courts, and I always watched him on TV. So we said like, yeah, he can practice, and he was like, okay, good. Boris quite, you know, impressive when you see him in person. Didn't meet him before, and we were warming up, and I was pretty much okay hitting with him. But then he started serving, and I was like, what? I mean, what kind of serve is that? Like, faking the serve, and the second serve was bouncing like this high. It was one-handed backhand, so it was not like that you can step in. You know, I had to either wait so far, or if I want to step in, you know, like shanking. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to return this guy's serve ever. So that period, it was like, I jumped on the rankings, let's say, till 50 in the world, and then I went back to 80. You know, it was like a little bit like ups and downs.
But after it pays off, and you have your best at the beginning result on hard court in
Yes.
US Open,
Yes.
and with a big match against Pete Sampras.
Yes.
True.
And for you, this achievement give you, I mean, obviously, I guess you were very disappointed.
Yes.
But maybe give you confidence if you say that hard court was.
Yeah,
were a bit
no,
more
you're
struggling.
totally right. I think unless you are someone very special and very, very good, you need to go through this little process, or little or bigger, it depends on whatever it's your process. But for me, it was a moment that I felt that at the beginning I was quite sad because I felt like, okay, I had a huge chance to go into the semifinals. I felt like the draw was quite open. I'm not so sure if I was ready to make it because I was very young. But it was pretty much the first time on hard courts. The year before I lost to Agassi, also on that center court, 5 sets, but it was more like, okay, I'm running and I'm seeing what's going on and everything was fine. But with Sampras, I felt like, okay, I knew exactly what I wanted to do, the way I wanted to play, and he was struggling very much. And today he's still very famous, that match, because he beat me and he was vomiting like beginning of the 5th set in the tiebreak. And I always said that it was very famous, that match, because he beat me after vomiting. Because if I beat him, they would say Corretja beat Sampras because he was sick. Because that's how life works. You know, we are quite, we feel envy from the others. We are jealous. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it was a turning point. Yes, I felt like, okay, instead of saying like, oh, I lost this chance, I felt like this is my chance. I'm going in the right direction. I'm 25 in the world. Now I feel I can play with these guys even on hard courts. Because I was playing very well on clay, but not that much on hard courts.
I can compete with the best in any surface.
Yeah, and that gives you confidence to feel like, okay, the work I'm doing, it's good. That year I changed physical trainer, so I was getting a bit bigger. I felt like, okay, physically, I have to be there for 4 hours, running side to side, because I'm not gonna hit 40 aces per match. I'm not gonna hit 25 winners with my forehand. So what's my choice? Be very strong physically.
Maybe also it helped you for your clay season to say, okay, maybe I can win also point outside of the clay season.
Yeah,
because
of course,
if not, you get like very stressed.
It relieves so much tension out of the rankings, knowing that your season can be like spread out like the full time. Because if not, you feel like, okay, if I don't play well on clay, I have to say that I don't think the balance between hard courts and clay are very even. I think if you are a hardcore player, you can just play well on hard courts and you can be on the top of the game. If you're a clay court player and you only play well on clay, it's no chance that you're going to be on the top of the game, because there are, at least on men's side, there are like from out of 9 Master Thousands, there are 6 on hard courts. Out of the 4 Grand Slams, there are 3 that are 2 on hard courts, 1 on grass. And the other big events, I don't think the balance is quite fair. I was president from the Players' Council many years ago, of course. And I was fighting for that too, to see like how can we keep that. And it wasn't easy, because I would say like 80% of the tour, they feel better playing on hard courts. They grew up a lot, especially Europe, like where they have to play indoors most of the time because of the weather conditions. So you are a little bit kind of weird, strange if you grew up on clay, unless you are Spanish or pretty much South American.
Yes.
The others, clay, it's more like, clay court season. It's more like that.
Yeah. And you mentioned that also at the time of your career, there was a lot of Spanish player.
Yes.
In the top ranking, you were many.
Yes.
How was this relation? I guess you maybe trained together also.
Yes. It was very healthy. It was very nice. It was something very special, because you feel like you could rely on the others and talk to them. I think everything was way more open. Yeah. You didn't have that big team as now. Yes. I think now everybody has like many people around them, and it's more difficult to open up. And we were practicing each other a lot. It was like a rotation machine, because it was like we grew up and it was Emilio Sanchez, Bruguera, Jordi Arrese, all these guys there playing very well, and we were practicing with them, And then when we started playing well, it was the other ones coming, the little younger ones. I remember playing with Moya when he's only 2 years younger than me, even if he looks way younger with his hair. And I don't know I think I was too defensive. That's why I have such a great hair. But I remember once practicing with Moya. So I said, okay, so come to the net. And he went like, no, I'm not going to the net. And I'm like, what? Yeah, come to the net. And he's like, no, I'm staying on the back of the court, baseline. And I'm like, why? No, I'm so scared to go to the net. And I'm like, come on, Charlie. And imagine then he becomes so aggressive, but at the beginning, we only practiced on clay. So for us, we didn't even need to go to the net. Not even hitting first serves. Like, you use your serve to put it on play. Okay, let's play. Let's rally. Let's run, pretty much,
Yeah.
So
It's funny.
Yeah, maybe now I think there's more balance, no? And kids, when they show some potential, they are finding more time to practice on hardcore, so they are more like prepared.
It changed because we realized that we really needed to improve our games on hardcore.
It was a
so
problem,
fortunately, the Catalan Federation they built some hardcourts. Then the Spanish Federation they created like an indoor facility, which you know how difficult it is to find an indoor court here. It's almost impossible.
I can confirm.
Yeah. And imagine like 30 years ago.
You didn't even have it.
It was almost impossible. So I was having some conversations with some of the important people to say, please, we need that. Because otherwise we're not going to improve our games. And they felt like, okay, they didn't really get it. Like, what are you talking about? Why are you telling me that it's so different to practice on clay, hard courts, indoors? You need it really to explain, and this is something very important when you go to talk to people. I think you need to make them understand why things are happening, because if not, we feel like, well, they know already. Yeah. No, don't make things like that they know already. Explain me, I guess.
Nice.
In 1998, you reached your first final in Roland Garros against Corretja.
Moya, in this time Moya. Well, 2001
Moya, yes.
Was Corretja, yes.
Oh,
no, it's okay.
I switched.
It's okay.
I will do some editing later.
Don't worry. The good thing is that both I lost them, so you don't change the result in any case.
We actually watched some highlights again of that final to see a little bit how it was.
Oh, it was very windy. I remember as a nightmare.
We didn't see that. We wanted to see the game styles.
Yes. Okay.
How was this experience? Well, of the first one, 1998?
It was, 97, I become top 10. So I was playing the clay court season, probably the best clay court season of my life. I was winning a lot of matches, finals in Monte Carlo, I won Rome, finals in Munich, I won Estoril before Roland Garros.
Okay.
And then I went there, I was one of the main favorites, and it was such a windy day. I lost to the Wolf, which the Belgian guy, he was playing better than me, and I didn't adjust myself. I didn't like when it was very windy because I really need to have time, step like this, and if the ball was moving, I didn't have this sort of, I wanted like perfect conditions, I was a little bit, complaining about that. And against Moya, I reached the finals, and I was not too convinced about it. I was quite happy already with my achievement.
Okay.
Maybe I felt like, okay, it's good enough. If I lose to Carlos, doesn't matter, he's a friend. And then a few weeks later, I started to realize like, what I have done, it's like, I didn't play my 100%. Of course, I lost because Carlos was better.
Yeah.
He was more prepared, better forehand, better serve. He had the experience from the year before that he lost Australian Open final. So he knew a bit the feeling of being there.
He was more ready.
Yes. We were young. I was 24, he was 22. And we were both top 10 in the world. But it was huge experience. You feel like when you reach the finals there, you realize how different it is from other tournaments. It goes all over the world. You feel like you start walking in some airport somewhere and they're like, hey, I saw you in the head. Hey. It's really like, why do they know me that much, And before it was more like Spain, let's say.
Yeah. And does this outside pressure, does it start affecting you? Like this fame, the expectations of the outside world, no? Because now every time you go to a tournament, you're expected to do big things.
Yeah, it affects in the way that you feel that you need to play sometimes better than you are.
Yeah.
And you are like, okay, and you start thinking like, okay, if I have to win putting balls inside the court, which is what it is sometimes, and you feel like, how am I gonna do this? I'm 5 in the wall, and you start thinking inside yourself like some stupid inside you that is telling you, you're not good enough to be top 5, and you're playing so bad, and how come you don't hit winners like the others? And so you need to shut him up, you know. It's like, I remember I read one book, it was, I think in the Inside Tennis or something, that it says like we have to our personality, 2 of us, no? And if let's say the good one and the bad one, to mention somehow, so if the bad one is more powerful than the good one, is you're dead. Because it's sending you such a bad messages, and for sure you know what I'm talking about. It's like, oh, you're gonna miss this ball, oh, you're not gonna win here, you're not gonna make it, and you're like, can you shut up? Can you leave me alone? But it's tough. You need like to work on that a lot. So when you become better player, you feel that you are more exposed, and you feel like you need to do better.
Still, you were quite consistent, no? The years after, you were still.
Yeah, I mean, for me, 98, it was like very important because I felt like I was reaching the rankings I wanted to be. Huge effort, improving so much on clay, on hard courts especially. And I was giving my best. And as I told you, I was dreaming to be number 1 when I was very little. So I was number 3 at the end of the year, which I don't know if we want to jump on that, to mention that I finished the year playing very well. And then I reached number 2, the beginning of 99, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. Yes, finally. Yes, I'm here. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to be so tired, mentally exhausted, physically like, I can't make it anymore. And then I drop a bit, number 3, number 4, number 5.
It's a huge failure.
And then you go to 25 again. It's like, how difficult it is to keep the level there, you know? So then, beginning of 2000, I changed again things. I changed racket, I changed physical trainer again. So, but for 98, like when I lost that finals with Moya at Roland Garros, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give my best to see if I can have another chance in a big tournament. So luckily, at the end of the year, we played the Masters Cup, and we faced each other again in the finals, indoors for Spanish players. It was like, what? And I also beat Sampras the day before in the semifinals, which I lost to him 2 years before with that match that you mentioned before. So I learned a lot from those matches that I lost before. You know, it helped me to win these matches when I face them again. But reaching the Masters and winning, it was like, okay, this is what I dreamed all my life. It's like, maybe I can retire even, you know. But I had the dream about being number 1.
And for you, in your mind, winning the Master Cup was as big as winning a Grand Slam?
In my mind, yes. And they always say, like, would you change it? And I said, I can't change it. It is my Masters, you know. Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, sometimes like we talk about it and it's like, I never won a slam. Like, you won the most complicated tournament to win.
It's not, honestly, it's not the Masters it's the importance they give it to the slam compared, for me, the Masters, it's probably difficult. It's more difficult in a way that you only play against the top 8 players or top 16, whatever the system is. But from outside, because worldwide they put more attention on the slams, you know. But at the end of the day, slams are 4 a year, and you see how many champions. Spain, Roland Garros, how many Spanish players they won Roland Garros? So many. And the Masters, somehow only was Manolo Orantes and myself. So hopefully Alcaraz is going to make it, because it shows how difficult it is.
That's it?
Yes.
After you, nobody?
Never. No one.
I mean,
from Spain.
The fact that Rafa never won it, it says how complicated it is, right?
And for us, yes, Borja, but at the same time, from outside people, it's like, It's not that important. That's why he's
No,
not
it does not have the same prestige maybe on the
Yeah,
media.
it's not the
or-
same impact maybe. Yeah.
Exactly, but I think like objectively,
On the paper, for sure, it's the hardest tournament there is.
well, sometimes
Yeah.
you see Grand Slams where the finalist or even the winner didn't face a top 10 player until semifinals or
Yeah.
even the finals.
But
Here,
because
it's top 8.
But I feel honestly, in a good way, I feel more special because I won the Masters than if I won Roland Garros like some of the other 15 Spanish players. But people feel that I would change it for Roland Garros. I'm like, no, because the experience I had that week, what I felt inside myself,
Yeah.
winning that, tell me. You can tell me. Well, maybe you say, well, I would change it for a Wimbledon. Yeah, maybe. But in my case, I don't really see it myself changing for anything. You know, it's like when you have a kid and they say, oh, I have 3 daughters.
Yeah.
Oh, you won't change it for one boy? Like, no, you don't change it.
Well,
you
at
know?
the end, it's a stupid question at the end because you
don't
cannot change it.
You know, I mean, maybe it's a silly
No, but
comparison, but
No, but it's.
I know why. Like at some point, at some moment, I feel I would rather change it to a slam. Probably because like when you're like in the day-to-day tennis, you know, like you're like obsessed with like a slam and like all the media bring you back to, oh, you never won a slam, blah, blah, blah. And on the moment, maybe, yes, it feels like a slam is better. But after maybe in a couple of years, and when we talk about it and we see like, okay, on the paper, I won that. And I was like, okay.
I think it's an incredible achievement to be in 1 week able to beat like so many players of like the highest level. It's unreal. I mean,
Yeah, but for the ones that they won a slam, they feel like, for sure it's better than winning a Masters Cup. It's like, okay, it's whatever. It's your tournament. This is my tournament. I'm not going to change it.
Exactly.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I think it has more outside recognition, but it's definitely tougher to win the Masters.
Can I also ask you? Or,
Of course.
Or you are the only one asking?
No,
you
go
can.
ahead, go ahead.
No, like for you, like now, it gives you like some sort of pressure to think about winning a big event, or you feel like I don't want to talk or think about that, I just go with the flow and see what it is?
My dream was always and still is winning a slam.
Okay.
Like the year I won the WTA finals, that was not expected at all because like in April I was like 75 in the world.
Yes.
So I would have never bet I would make that. And after, but also I always believed that winning a slam or being at the top, it will like fulfill me and make me like something different inside me. And at the end, by winning WTA final, it helped me understand that it will not change. So at the end was a bit like, for me it was a bit like painful moment kind of,
Okay.
because like keep chasing that to like switch something inside me for some reason. I understood that it was not gonna happen, and I have to keep playing for some other reasons.
We had Dominic Thiem in the podcast a couple of months ago,
Okay.
and we were talking about exactly the same. He thought, that winning a slam would be the solution to all his problems, that he would feel something different, and actually, like after winning, he felt like kind of empty. And that's why he also thinks he got injured, because he stopped training as hard as he used to. And it's quite common. I think when sometimes I think if you're not enjoying the ride, right? Because probably maybe you were enjoying every day. Of course, some good days, some bad days. No, but you like tennis, you enjoy tennis. But it can become kind of an unhealthy obsession, I would say, to win something. You give up everything, like happiness, just to get it. And once you reach it, it's like, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
So I think
Dominic told us that winning US Open was like a relief. He felt relief.
Okay. Yeah.
And
So
after
it's
it was
like
emptiness, like a drug. He said.
Yeah, I think when we are playing, we are pretty much similar, most of us. I'm saying similar because I think new generations, maybe they have a little bit different mentality than we used to have, I believe. Well, you are much younger than me, of course. But it is... So first, we have to put that we are privileged people. We know that.
Yes.
I mean, there is no other way of seeing life. We are privileged and we know how fortunate we are. But at the same time, it's very difficult to understand from people that outside what it requires to be a very good tennis player. The commitment, the feeling that you need to do things almost perfect every day. Food-wise, physical, tennis, blah, blah, blah. So you become like nearly a psychopath, you know, like it's like crazy.
An emotionless machine.
Yes, and now it's more open that people understand that, okay, we can suffer mentally. But when you say that you suffer mentally a few years ago, you are weak from everything.
Or crazy.
And what are you talking about? You make so much money and you go for nice hotels and you are everywhere and you are complaining, and it's not a matter of complaining, it's a matter of explaining what I'm feeling. I'm not feeling. So you said the right. During my ride, I do enjoy much more my life now than when I was a tennis player, because now I'm more conscious. Before I felt like I have to do this, of course, and I have to win. And if I don't win, I feel disappointed, you know? Because this is the only way we were raised in our life. You need to win, you need to be, and you become obsessed with what you're doing.
And also the lifestyle is not easy, right? Because it's hard to see your family, you don't have like much time to develop good friendships, and we are humans and we need also those things. And if you want to be at the top of your level, you have to give up a lot of these things. You're always out of home. And regardless of how much money you make or how good the emotion can be of winning, you still have all these things that you're missing and you're lacking.
But imagine that she complains, like, I have had such a tough season this year, and then they looked at her prize money, whatever it is. One regular person from the street is going to kill her. He's going to say, like, I mean, you are like a disgrace to say that, you know?
No, I mean, I know what you mean, and I
well, you know what
it's like, it's a bit like everything in excess is not healthy anymore. It's like, yes, you're traveling a lot in tennis and you have the luxury to be in very nice hotel, but at the end, when it's like so many weeks in the year, it's become like more a routine, and you don't even pay attention of where you are or what you are doing. And sometimes like your dream holidays is just like to have like 2 weeks home with your family, celebrating birthday or whatever. And it's true that from the outside, people can look at you and like, what do you mean? You don't want to go to Maldives or whatever? Like, no, can I just be in my sofa, please?
Of course. Can I just shut the door and I don't want to talk to anyone. I want to be home. And this is my place, and I want to have the blanket here. And it's like, I never been to Maldives or Bali or whatever, never. Because when I finished the season, I wanted to just stay home.
Of course.
It's like, this is what I want to be. And you learn, so I'm way older than you, so I can tell you that you look way more in your inside when you become older than the outside. You're looking for the outside answers many times, let's say with coaches, let's say with the crowd, let's say with expectations, than when you become older that you feel like, let's say me now, I feel like I want to do this. I feel like I'm here so happy to be with you because I want, not because I have to. You know, this is the difference. Yes. I'm pretty much not doing anything now anymore that I have to. It's basically because I want to. And this is the huge difference when you are a tennis player that I would tell you, if you allow me to tell you,
of course.
Then of course you can do whatever you want, to go to places where you really want to. And you feel like, I have the desire to go to this tournament because this is my focus, because I want to, whatever. I don't know if that's result or I want to feel good as human being. And then you go there because the Australian season, I want to play this. No, I have to go here because if I go here, because if I win the two matches here, and then I will make this becomes crazy. And becomes that you're not going from what you feel on your heart. You go because
you have to and you're supposed to go.
You need to go there because everybody's going, and if you're not going, they're passing you the rankings. Fuck the rankings.
Well,
I'm sorry, but it is like that.
It
is you, not the rankings or your family or your whatever boyfriend, husband, or my friend or Alex Corretja. No, it's you. You know what I mean? And
I think
this is basic.
It's super important, that to also take time to develop your personal identity, understand what it's important for you, no, and then like start working around what is important for you, right? Because otherwise it's always your coach, your be number one, the press, no? And if you don't know what is important for you, you just like you're like a hamster in the hamster wheel.
No.
You're not getting
anything
anywhere.
that doesn't come from what do you really feel is not gonna work. Well, look, I was number 2 in February '99. I was like 3 matches away from being number 1 in Australian Open. I lost at the Australian Open. Then I had to go to Dubai because it was during February. And I remember sitting on the couch with my parents. I was living with them. And I said to my mom, I was exhausted. And she said to me like, don't go. And I'm like, what? I have to go. I'm like 2-3 matches away from. She said like, yeah, you will make it later. And I said, no, I have to go. I regretted all my life to went there. I went there, and you know what? I lost 7-6 in the third because I was not fresh. Then a couple of weeks later, 3 weeks later, I went to Indian Wells, and I was very tired, but I felt like, okay, it's a great event. I loved Indian Wells. I was up 6-4, 4-1 against Philippoussis, and I lost that match. My mind wasn't clear enough. Philippoussis won the tournament. So I was very close. And then Moya became number 1 that week. We were fighting, and it was like, fighting, always like, And then that adrenaline went down, like, I'm dead, you know? And it's not like these super heroes, well, not heroes, but like Federer, Djokovic, Nadal, this doesn't exist. This is not normal. This is out of this world, you know, that they can keep there, like playing and winning slam. Like, how many slams this year? I won 1, you won 2, the other one, the Masters. Now
like, I have 22. How are you doing?
You have only 20. You're not that good, you know. If you are more normal, and we are unbelievable good athletes because we become as good as we could, you know, it's when you realize that to keep the level all the time, it's like you in your rankings, you know, you went up, you were there very high, and then maybe you drop a little bit now. It's like, so what? You drop a little bit because whatever reasons, you know, you need to feel free again to say, okay, what's my goal now? What do I want from me? Do I really want what? I want to improve this. I want to be more consistent on this. I want to hire someone that helps me in what? In mental aspect, physical aspect, tennis, tactics. This is something that only you knows.
Yeah, of course. But,
nice.
When you retire, you were 31 years old.
Yes.
Why did you...
How old are you now?
31. But
it changed. It changed.
So much now. If you want to retire at 31, you're like,
no, that's what I'm saying. You see? Imagine you that I'm telling you now, no, you have to retire now. It's so weird.
And like at that time, obviously it was normal, but you were just feel fatigue or lack of motivation.
The bar of 30 years, it was the bar you are 10 and everybody was saying like, okay, you play until you're 30 and then you retire.
Well, until not so long ago, until a couple of years.
Yeah. So it was like,
now it's like 40.
Yes, it extended.
Well, people started seeing the big 3, you know, still winning slams with 33. Like, okay, I need to keep going.
Yeah. No, and it changed so much. But what had happened to me, as I told you, if you're listening to in the beginning, which it took a while already, I said at 10 years old, I was practicing 4 hours a day. So when I was 30, 31, I was
20 years coming.
I gave everything I had already. And as I told you, I was never the biggest and the strongest. It was like more my attitude. It was more my mentality. So one day I was practicing. When I dropped in the rankings already, I was like 100 in the world. And I felt like, okay, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to win a slam because I see them going backwards, not forward anymore. And I had a problem on my eye. Practicing, I felt like I don't really see the ball, you know, coming. It was like, so I went to the doctor and they saw me that I had like a problem inside the macula, somewhere close to the retina, or the retina. And I had a surgery, and then I was like 8 days home, like this, literally like this. Because they have a surgery and they put you something on the eye, so you need to stick like this for 8 days, and those 8 days were probably the best in my life, because it was like how lucky I was all my career that I didn't have any big issues. But then it was like, okay, you're not retiring because maybe you don't want to take that step, this is the sign. This is like, this is it.
Okay.
So I retired from then on. And it was like already 19 years ago. I can't believe it.
Yeah,
It's
it
more
went like flying.
no, you cannot believe it. I mean, meanwhile, I have, kids, it's totally different life. And whatever you do in life, it's like totally, completely different than what you're used to. You used to be like, everything has to be super well organized and everything has to be routines and everything. And now you are more flexible with everything. You don't stress out that much, whatever.
Yeah, it's really different, and like all your goals switch. Like as a player, like the main important is you. Like all goes around you, and then when you retire, like maybe you had a family already.
Yeah.
But it's like different mindset. How was your experience with coaching?
Coaching is very interesting because, at least in my side, and I hope the players I helped, I hope they say that I add something to them. You have so much experience, and you were there. You knew exactly what was going on, and you understand when they say, "I don't feel the ball, I don't want to practice, I'm tired, I'm nervous, I hate to play against this guy, or I don't like this tournament." Those sort of things that from outside it's like, what? Is he crazy? So I felt that you have this empathy and you have this connection with the people that you work. And I'm someone I can be very flexible, but I'm very strict in the way I want to work. Mm-hmm. But also sometimes I can see the face of the player and I can say,
you can relate.
It doesn't make any point in any sense to force you to do something today. Let's go play golf, or let's go play paddle, or let's chill, let's go to the cinema. Or there are days where you feel like, no, today is the day that I want you to suffer and to struggle and to fight for it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there is always a purpose behind. So it was nice. I learned a lot, but I also realized that it was very demanding, because even if I was doing some weeks and not full-time coaching, at the end of the day, you are behind the player, like, you want to see if they're playing well, if they feel well, and you're in touch. And let's say he's playing in Asia, you're not there, but you feel bad being sleeping if he's playing at 3 a.m. in the morning, and then you gotta wake up and see the match, and then you are so tired the next day.
True.
So it makes things so complicated unless you do, like, let's say 10, 12 weeks a year. But at the same time, if you do that, it's not like you can put all your mindset that you want to the player. I think you can help a lot if you then do 10, 12, 15 weeks a year. It's a good number. I did that with Andy Murray. It was super good. But he had a great team, and I was advising him a lot. Then they would say, you're the new coach. And I said, I'm not the coach, because the coach is there full-time, 24/7. I'm advising him whatever I feel that he wants to do with the calendar, with the feeling on the ball, and practicing weeks. And so it's more like I put information into, let's say, his mind, and then he deal with that whatever he could, the way he could. I would say, So hopefully it was good. So you should ask him. You should interview
We will try.
him.
Yeah. We'll try.
We would love to have him.
We'd love
You
to.
should have him. And now I think Andy, he become like way more relaxed than he used to be, and he's a genius. I'm telling you, he is super. His mind is very, very deep, and things they need to be very clear to him. I'm not so sure about now that I think he will chill much more than when he was a player.
Yeah, I would love to have that.
We need
chance.
to ask him. We need to ask him. Andy, you have to be here.
Super interesting career, and the timing, fighting always with the big three and being so good. It was unreal achievements. Nice.
And after you moved to more commentator, and how is like, we love to listen to you, like the passion.
Thank you. If you don't say that, I won't continue the podcast. I will leave.
The energy you
It's
give
true.
and everything, it's like, like you want to listen and like to understand also like what is behind, and we love it.
Thank you.
And how is that experience for you from being like behind?
For me, it is probably the best moment of my life, I would say, because when I was a player, of course, nothing can be compared to be a tennis player for us. the feeling you have of winning, you know, when you win the match and you feel like, oh, I won, and you feel like, yeah, the greatest thing ever, you know. But now I feel like I know exactly what I want every time about myself. So I'm doing this, as I said before, just because I want to.
Yes.
I don't really need to. I'm lucky enough to live my life as I want. And I'm deciding pretty much the weeks that I want to do. And I have this nice combination that they both channels, they allowed me. I'm doing Eurosport, I'm doing Eurosport Spain, and especially Eurosport International, that for me gave me everything I am in a tennis commentator. They gave me the biggest chance of my life after I retired about tennis. I'm so grateful to them because they gave me this nice chance to get to the houses, you know, to interview players, to be with the winners of Slam, of Olympics, something very special, and also to could explain what's going on.
Yes.
Because if not, it's like tennis, well, it's not just a yellow ball coming from side to side. It's a lot of things going on inside that tennis ball. That yellow,
Too many.
that yellow thing is crazy, you know? Yeah. And since this year, I started with Movistar Plus as well, Movistar Plus, in Spain, because they pretty much have the rights from many, many events in Spain. And I'm very fortunate because I could combine both, because let's say, they're in the same platform anyway, so they're like, let's say, cousins, you know, so it's not like they're fighting against each other, so it's very nice for me. And it's also giving me like the continuity through the year, that I can be there almost a week, a month or something, which is, it gives me this exposure, but not because I want the exposure, it's because I want, if I commented the Masters or if I commented Davis Cup or a Grand Slam final, it's the emotion that I feel when I commentate it. People sometimes they say like, you feel like every time you commentate this is the best match of your life, and I feel like I almost feel that way.
That's nice.
I remember the last Australian Open that Nadal won.
Yeah,
I was watching you commentating
against Medvedev.
Yeah, your emotions after he won, it wasn't real. But that passion that you have, you are really able to put it on the people watching, because sometimes tennis is long and can be like hard to follow the full match and stuff, you know. And when you hear him so passionate, you know, you're always like, oh yeah, what's going on? You know, let's go.
No, I mean, that people with me are so nice. I mean, and you know how social media can be, that it's very tricky. I'm giving my best, and they're giving me back, you know, but I communicate with a lot of fans nicely, and I use them only for fun, you know. I don't use them for any commercial purpose. And when I do surveys, when I'm doing the matches, or I do a live Instagram, let's do a live Instagram, and everybody's like connected to the live Instagram, it's because I want them to show them, or want them to see something totally different. They're not used to see the insights, and for us, be at Roland Garros is the most normal thing, and for them, you're showing them the cabin, the commentary booth, or inside the corridors, and they're like, wow, this is unbelievable. And it's funny. I do it because I have fun, and I'm telling you, like every time I step on the street, and sometimes when they tells you like, hey, hello, how are you? They say like, oh, thank you for your lives on Instagram, and I'm like, are you really like them? And yes. But sometimes you feel weird to do them.
No, but you're bringing something different, and I think people like this feeling of, as you say, seeing the behind the scenes, and
both Eurosport and Movistar Plus, they tell me like, do it, because this is the most engagement you can have with them, and this is good, you know. So.
I admit I connected myself.
Yes. Okay. Next time I will say hi to you.
In Wimbledon, when you are like all seated next to each other.
With Ivan, no?
And we saw Ivan on like for commentating for Italia.
Okay,
you know,
I understand. Oh yeah. When Lubicic was there. Okay, yeah. He was like quite serious because he was. Yeah, sometimes I went into the other commentary booth, and they are like so focused, and I'm like, come on, chill, man. It's just
relax.
I mean. Nothing happens, you know.
Talking about commentating and tennis, what is the main differences you see from when you were playing to now?
Commentating?
Yeah. Well, with tennis. Like,
with tennis.
Do you see any big differences?
Well, I think we all agree that the speed they play and the power they hit way harder, and everybody plays more like hitting the hard they can before the other, because if not, it's like you have to shoot. If not, they're gonna shoot you.
Yeah.
I do feel, honestly, and this is my feeling, that consistency is still a bit powerful, because when you are very powerful but you are not very consistent, you're not going to end up winning. And I'm going to put like an example with Sabalenka. She was very powerful and she was very good. And I liked her very much, the way she played. But she was not sure how good she was when she will be consistent. And now she's very powerful, but she's very consistent. It's not like she's winning because she's overpowering you after one shot. No. She knows that she needs to be there. She needs to hit balls. And of course, she's winning more than others because she's very powerful. But before, she was powerful as well.
Yeah. So,
and especially, and you know how it is to play on such a big court, you don't overpower the people like right away. Like you play at Roland Garros court or Melbourne or whatever, the courts are so big, so you're not gonna hit them and you're gonna beat them like in one shot. So, and that happens to me when I see a little bit the women's tennis. I feel like, well, it happens a little bit when I see you playing. I feel like, why are you rushing that much? It's not a criticizing.
I don't take it bad.
It's more with all my love. It's more like, and I understand, and maybe you could explain me in another episode, whatever. It's the way you have your mentality. You want to be aggressive or whatever, but at the same time, I feel like, yeah, but one thing is to be aggressive, and another thing is to be rushing. If you're rushing, you're gonna make mistakes. Sometimes you rush because, let's say, you're panicking or you are nervous, and you just rush because it's the way you are. And sometimes people, they rush because they don't really know how they need to play. And for me, the important thing in tennis is know how you need to play. If you know what do you need from that moment and from that surface and from that opponent, you will win many more matches. Like if I'm playing you, let's say, and I know that you're going to rush at 4-all because whatever you're going to rush, I know I'm going to hang in there a little bit, feeling like you're going to go for it. And and it's like a flip of coin, you know? So that's what I'm saying. Like when you are very consistent, wow, you become way better player.
You get
even
into the
if power tennis, well, of course it's prevailing now with everybody serving so big and hitting so big. But well, this is of course my feeling. We could talk to players that they would say like, no, I prefer powerful than consistency.
Sure.
Maybe.
No, I mean, makes sense. And also like tournament or play on like 1 week, 2 weeks, and sometimes if you don't feel as good that day or you have a little bit your timing off, if you just go for power, well, it's maybe the day you go like out of the tournament. If you're like more consistent, then you are able to be a bit more like patient and a bit more.
No, but listen,
like smart.
How many matches in your life you won? And tell me tell me 3 matches in your life that you felt unbelievable playing good tennis in your life.
Coco Gauff, US Open 2022.
Okay.
Alizé Cornet, Roland Garros 2017.
Okay.
And WTA final was not that bad.
It was not that bad. But listen, how many matches you played in your life? Like hundreds.
Yeah.
So to find that you are a star, with all the respect, and because you are a star or you are such a great player, you need to think, and you look into the ceiling to think which matches you felt unbelievable. It is so weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because there is like very little amount of it.
Because to feel great, it's almost a miracle. The ball, the string, the conditions, no wind, the opponent. It's almost impossible to find that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that shows that if you are consistent through your life and through your tennis, you're going to win way more than if you feel like, I'm not feeling well, I don't feel the ball. I don't care if you don't feel the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Because if you don't feel the ball, it's the normal thing.
Yeah.
And the number of matches you can remember where after winning, you wanted to go back on court and do like basket with the coach. Is like,
yes.
So
Yes. No, but why? Because, and also like sometimes I say like, when you play, let's say 2.5 hours or 3 hours, and some people say like, how come they're playing better now? And it's like, because the more you play, the better you feel.
Yeah.
And that's why you practice in the morning, and then you shower, you eat, whatever, and then in the afternoon you go like, I feel much better. But people now with this thing about the quantity or whatever, versus quality. It's like quality versus quantity, Yeah, but I mean, come on. But you can't be a tennis player practicing 2 hours a day, because then you're going to play matches where they're going to last very long, and you're going to suffer physically, but more mentally.
Yes.
It's like the injuries now. No injuries, the balls, they were always like this. Bigger balls, lighter balls, different.
Don't laugh.
No, different surface.
I'm not laughing because of you, but it's
different
true.
surfaces, slower, faster, whatever. But now, the players, and especially more on the men's side, when they play best of 5, they can play 5 hours.
Yeah.
They're not used to that. So the wrists are suffering. Yeah, the wrists are suffering because they play 2 hours and they go home. It's not a criticize, it's what it is.
Yeah.
And if you do that, when you have to play 7-5 in the 5th at the Australian Open at Roland Garros, what do? You are dead, because your elbow is going to fall apart, your wrist is going to fall apart. So you need to find a combination about practicing and not burn out yourself. But if you don't get ready, I feel like you need to go ready for what you need to face, This is more like I'm giving you like hard time, Caro.
What do you think is the main difference between men's and women's tennis? Because it looks like men's tennis is way more attractive for the fans. So from the outside, what you will think?
I think they are a bit more organized when they play, in a way of tactic way. It seems from outside that some of the girls, they do very well. Like, let's say, when you see Iga Swiatek, you can see that she knows exactly her tactics, the way she wants to move, or Coco Gauff. And why is that? Because they are not as powerful as others, so they really need to use their tactics a lot. Why did they like a lot Justin Anan? Someone like this, or Amelie Mauresmo, because we were one-handed, and they knew exactly the way they wanted to play, So I think men's, even if they are very powerful, they are more structured the way they play. It's a bit different. And also, I feel like when you see the men's tennis, they don't go for every shot like I'm gonna hit as hard as I can. And when you see some of the women's games, sometimes it seems like the ones that hit it harder is gonna be the best, and maybe there are not as many rallies. And I think tennis, at least from what I like, is that if there are rallies, it's gonna be always a little bit more emotional, and it's normal that tennis goes very fast, but all these matches that they become like dramatic, they become more attractive for people, So I think players, the men's, in my opinion, they move a bit better than the women's, so they're capable to put, like, let's say 10 or 12 shots moving side to side in a huge speed, while the women's, when you hit like one very good shot to the side, it's very difficult for the women to defend that shot and put it back on play.
So at the end, there is like less show, kind of.
I think so, in
Makes
a way.
sense.
Even if of course, I love watching the women's tennis, like many times when they play, when you see, I like to see the game on slow hard courts or clay, let's say.
Yes.
In a way, because I see more, I like the players to think. I like the players to burn themselves and think, what do I need to do? It's different from probably what you like to do, because you like to go for boom, boom, boom. Or
I like to see the opening.
or if you go grass. If you go grass, it's different kind of, but already it's kind of different tennis. But when you see someone on clay and they go so fast and so flat, and after 2 shots they're going to miss it, I feel like, well, I don't know if they're thinking that much, and there are men that they do the same and they have such a potential, but I'm like, but this potential, you're not probably squeezing everything you have inside,
Yeah. Alcaraz and Sinner, what do you think?
Well, Sinner, let's say it's the perfect machine. He is huge. He hits the ball as hard as he can, but again, with such a consistency. It's not that he just hit the ball. He knows, and he's learning how to play and how to target the corners of the court. His serve is unbelievable. He improved so much. His return, his forehand is way better than before. I think his backhand has been always great, but I think the main difference now is that his forehand is more reliable. Before he was making more mistakes, maybe even on the important moments he had some doubts. I think now he enjoys those moments because he knows that he's very aggressive, and it's very good to feel like you depend on you a lot.
Yes.
I think this is a huge advantage when you
Confidence boost.
Yeah, and when you play tough matches, it is very important that have the feeling that you have the control. It's when you're home and you have the remote control that you can play whatever series you want, and your partner is okay. What do you want? And Alcaraz is pretty much a genius. He can do almost everything he likes. He can hit winners all over the place. He can play in different surfaces. He's so creative, and the best thing I've seen for Alcaraz this year, it was Roland Garros, the way he understood that he needed to be also very practical. I mean, I want to win here, and I'm not going to win by hitting only winners. I'm going to suffer. And if Roland Garros, if you don't suffer, if you don't struggle, there's no chance that you can play well in that tournament. Yeah,
because he suffered a lot in this Roland Garros.
Very
he
much.
Didn't play a very good tennis.
No, but who cares? No one.
Yeah.
No,
who cares how? Again, who cares how do you feel? No one. Of course, if you can bring the good show, it's always better. I'm not saying you have to win like playing like this, like shitty game, and wait the other for make mistakes. I'm saying like sometimes you need to say, okay, I really want to win this match no matter what and no matter how. And I think Carlos is learning that a lot. But because he's so good, he wants to play like if he's in Euro Disney every time. And it's like, Euro Disney, it's 40 kilometers away from Paris, You can't do that all the time. And he's someone very special, and he's going to win a lot of majors. And so Sinner as well, I guess.
It's a good time, but...
Yeah.
I think there's like so many advice for young kids on this episode, but what advice would you give to your younger self?
To my younger self, probably to be a bit more flexible in my early stages, a bit more knowing that it's not going to be the end of the world if I don't make or if I don't win as much as I think. Probably to enjoy a bit more what I was doing, because you win and then you feel like what's next, and sometimes I say, like when they win a good tournament, I say like, listen, take your time, have some days off and realize what you've done, because I think it's very important. Because losing is so painful that it goes always over the win, and it's like when you win, it's like it's normal, I won, and and actually the next day I have to play again, so you don't have time. So when you win a tournament,
celebrate it.
You don't need to just destroy the whole world, but realize what you're doing, and probably I would say be more with myself than I was. Like being with myself, calm down in a room or somewhere walking around. It's very important, like forest, you walk around and you don't need your phone or you don't need music. You just need to listen. It's a bit deep what I'm saying, but listen what's going on around. And then you are like, and it's like, oh, I'm understanding myself, I'm listening to my heart and my soul, If not, you only go like a machine, and you take the car and you go practice, and the trainer is waiting for you, and it's like, okay, we're gonna do 2.5 hours, and I'm gonna feed you baskets, and then the physical trainer, okay, you have to lift weights, and come on, one more, yes, one more, and you're like, one more, and you do it because you feel that you really have to do that one more. So I would say, like, okay, to be a bit more perspective with everything. Let's say you are like you have like a Hawkeye. You are inside, up there, high, and you see a little bit the picture, and you're like, what am I doing? Am I crazy or what? Be more conscious from what I do.
Yeah, slow down a bit and be more present. No, it's
yeah.
Now, like with a bit of perspective, do you think you were happy during your tennis career?
I was very happy. Yes.
Yeah.
I was very happy. I was very fortunate. I was conscious that I was doing things very good, and I was happy. I cannot say I was not happy, but at the same time I was suffering. I was not struggling. I was suffering the momentums, the moments that were tough.
The daily stress.
But I never had this sort of anxiety of like, oh, I have to. It was more like general feeling of I could have enjoyed a little bit more.
Yeah.
A little bit more,
Okay.
I guess.
Got it. Good.
Yeah. I think we are at the end of the interview. The question we ask to everyone is who would you like for us to invite in the podcast, and who would you like to listen? One man, one woman.
Well, definitely, I would love to go with Andy Murray, as I told you. I think
we like it.
That would be a superstar. I think that would be super great because he could add a lot.
Yeah.
And I would say in the women's side, I'm gonna go with ex-player because the current players sometimes they don't have as much time.
Yeah.
They feel like, I don't want to do this. You know how it is.
Yeah.
It's like they're asking you for things, and I would like to know how was for Amélie Mauresmo. I don't know if you ever talked to her in the podcast or not.
We did not. She didn't come. She received the invitation, but we didn't.
Come on, Amélie. I think it would be very nice because she was very special player.
Different game style, very
different
committed.
game style, one-handed backhand, which for women's tennis was normally is not as usual, not in the men's side anymore. And also the way she explains herself, and the way she was stepping up with, her character and her personality, I think would be very nice to listen to her. I really adore Amélie, I have to say.
I love it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was a great time.
Thank you. I hope they have
It's
time.
been a pleasure, and I think people are going to learn a lot from this episode. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.